Hey everyone, Larry Walsh here for Changing Channels. I can't go anywhere nowadays without hearing the word ecosystem. And if you've heard me talk about it, and I think I've mentioned it a few times on this podcast, I do believe ecosystem is probably one of the most tortured words in the business today. The reason being is because we refer to ecosystems in two different ways. Ecosystems has become a replacement term for channel partners, the network of channel partners working with their companies. The other sense of ecosystem, which is the traditional definition, which is the combination of multiple companies using multiple brands and products to create solutions that have a greater value to the customer. And from my perspective, the channel has always done this, but leveraging this collaborative motion is becoming more and more paramount, particularly as technology becomes more complex. And the truth is that there's no one company out there that can solve for all the customer needs. They need different brands and different products as components to systems, not looking to any one company for the system. This requires a lot of thinking around how to enable, how to train, how to incent partners, and more importantly, how to orchestrate them. This is where collaboration becomes a critical part of ecosystem orchestration and management. And one company that's taken a really strong run at this is Red Hat. Red Hat has recently relaunched a channel program based around this entire concept. They are leveraging partners in ecosystem motions, enabling them to better engage not only with Red Hat, but also with each other to solve for the end customer's needs. So we thought it'd be a good idea to have somebody from Red Hat come on and talk about what they're doing and how they're being successful. So Stefanie Chiras, the Senior Vice President of Partner Ecosystem Success at Red Hat, is joining us today to talk exactly about that. This is Changing Channels. Let's get into it. Stefanie Chiras, welcome to Changing Channels.
Hi, Larry. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you, and it's also great to hear somebody speaking in my native language. So we're both from the Boston area, and
Yes,
yet I lost my accent years ago. You remind me about how much I miss it.
I've lived all over the country and I have never lost it, Larry. So it follows me wherever I go.
Well, mine is well practiced, and unfortunately, I can't get back. So,
But I did come back to Massachusetts now, so I get to use my native tongue well.
and you do, you do. So, look, before we get into our conversation about Red Hat, I'm really curious about your origin story. Now, you earned a PhD. So, and do I have to call you doctor?
No, you don't.
Okay. But you
Stephanie will
do,
do just fine.
but you do have a PhD in meteorology, and you start working in semiconductor design. Um, and yet here you are, you're leading ecosystem success at Red Hat. What was this journey like? How did you get from there to here?
Yeah, I sometimes refer to my career journey as a bit of a random walk. But I think a couple of things. I've always kind of followed curiosity has been one thing and somehow that led me here. I think if I look back at kind of my early years, right, and I was a mechanical engineering undergrad, then I moved into, as you said, materials and metallurgy for my master's and PhD. It was all focused on a curiosity around technology kind of underpins everything. And as I went through my career, I sometimes say I worked my way up the stack. I did metallurgy and depositions. I then moved into silicon processor design, then into subsystem design to system architecture design. And then eventually I moved into kind of the business side. One of the processors I had worked on, the server that was with that processor moved into the market and I moved with it. I think one of the things that really stuck with me throughout my career is the collaboration aspect, right? I love the kind of pulling together. When I got my PhD, one of the most profound things I learned was that I knew a whole lot about one little tiny thing. And knowing a lot about one tiny thing only works if you are surrounded by people who know a whole lot about the things that interacts with. And that was one of the things that I found really fascinating. I was really lucky in my early career to do an internship like role when I was in an undergrad at NASA Langley. And I remember the feeling of being in this. We all had, it was in a massive airplane hangar was where we all worked, and you just had a table and a toolbox and everyone did their work. But it was like the collaboration of just yelling across to the person who was doing something that was loosely related to what you were doing. That kind of inspired me early on to really want to become a subject matter expert in something, but really work on the collaborations with others. Um, my first business role when I moved into the business side with that server and took over offering management was in IBM and Power Systems. I had worked on the processor on Power 8. When it went to market, I did as well. I moved over and took over the offering management for a set of servers that only worked on Linux. And so that was when I first started seeing the collaboration around open source, how it changed the industry, how it really revised the development model. I started working with all of the Linux providers, including Red Hat, and I became just fascinated by not only what was being done with Linux, but how it was being built, how it changed that collaboration model. And that inspired me, right, to move into Red Hat, move into more of the open source. And I think it's kind of a follow-on to that curiosity and collaboration that brought me into this ecosystem role. But it's been quite a journey.
Well, if you're a lover of collaboration, I guess ecosystems is the place for you, right? I mean,
Yes.
ecosystems is, you may have heard me say this. People on the podcast have heard me say this several times. I think ecosystem is probably the most tortured word in this business, but I also believe that the idea behind ecosystems, this entire idea of collaboration, not just between two companies, but multiple companies driving towards the same end, really has a profound and powerful impact on the customer. Talk to me about what you think about ecosystems. What is it? What does that mean to you, particularly in that collaboration context?
It is it is when a customer has a challenging problem, which is why we're all in this industry in the first place, is to solve challenging problems. It's never solved by one vendor, one partner. It is solved by pulling together a solution. And it only matters if it comes together in a way that matters to that customer. I think one of the most, I mean, I know AI is on everyone's tip of everyone's tongue, but nowhere have I seen an example that illustrates the point that you raised, Larry, about the importance of collaboration and kind of the ecosystem of multiple partners coming together than in artificial intelligence and Gen AI. It is a whole new way of how the value and the outcome of that Gen AI depends upon all of the layers of the stack coming together to deliver that value, from accelerators at the silicon level to the servers that they've selected, to the model that they've selected, to the applications, to the platform that they've brought in. It's AI, while it's kind of exciting everyone in the market, I think from an ecosystem standpoint, in the definition that you said, right, that is heavily overused, but the coming together of all of the partners never been more critical than in this AI era that we're in today.
First of all, thank you. You've said AI 3 times, so we're three for the 10 that we're required to cite that by
Okay,
law. So we're good. We're good on
drop
that.
those off.
Yeah. But the Red Hat ecosystem and the Red Hat channel in general, it's quite unique because Red Hat is a purveyor of open source software. That's its origins. It's what it does. So you're not selling software, you're selling outcomes and services. So how does that differ from a conventional channel? What is it that makes this relationship with partners unique relative to those that are either doing reselling or integration work?
Yeah, I think the open source that is clearly core to what we do here at Red Hat pervades everything we do. Um, how we develop with partners, how we collaborate with them in upstream. We purposefully go into the upstream communities of open source and attract partners in to work with us in the upstream. when it comes down to the product, so we often talk about what is a project, which refers to kind of what we do up there and working with open source communities. But then when we make it into a product, we're selling subscriptions. We have to earn our value every day. But when I first joined Red Hat, I joined Red Hat as the general manager for Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which of course is all built upon upstream Linux and open source Linux. Um, and when folks would ask us what the value is that Red Hat Enterprise Linux brings, it brings a certified ecosystem of folks we have worked with to make sure that when you bring that Red Hat Enterprise Linux into your company, it works at an enterprise grade level, not just for the bits that are in it, as you say, which are all open source, but in how it interacts with all of the partners that we have worked with, from silicon providers to server providers up to ISVs and applications. And I think the second click is not just the open source piece, but it is the fact that we are a platform. We're very proud to be a platform company, but a platform by itself doesn't solve problems. It's how does it interact and bring with it the choice and flexibility of being able to run upon multiple chip architectures, being run upon multiple servers, being able to be run upon multiple public clouds, and supporting all of those ISV applications, which is really what is driving customer decisions. They want that flexibility and choice to say, I use all of these applications. I want to ensure that they can run on something that will give me flexibility for how I want to run it today and how I want to run it tomorrow. And I want it to give me that flexibility to say, I may run it on-prem today. I want to run it on this public cloud tomorrow. I may want to pull some of that back on-prem. Our goal as a platform company, and we talk about what we call the open hybrid cloud, right? Open hybrid cloud that can be run on multiple clouds, on-prem, anywhere you want to take it, on any footprint. Our goal to deliver that platform only brings flexibility if you have the ecosystem around it. So our entire value proposition, you say, Larry, our entire value proposition depends upon the ecosystem that it comes with.
So earlier this year, you rolled out a new channel program and you're continuing to evolve it. I mean, there's been a couple of updates since the initial announcement. Red Hat has been forging new alliance relationships as well with other companies to foster the platform strategy that you're describing. Can you tell us a little bit about what does that mean, this modular partner framework? What does that mean, and what is the intent behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we believe it that in this current age, right, with all of the changes in IT, that a flexible IT requires a flexible ecosystem. And we really wanted to make sure that as we came out with this enhanced partner program that we launched in July, it was able to be structured in order to be flexible for going forward. We started with three key principles, right? How do we simplify engagement on a global scale? How do we empower partners with greater autonomy in order to sort of work their future with Red Hat technology and grow their business by leveraging Red Hat technology? And how do we operate with clear transparency for optimized customer success with those partners? We really wanted to pull those three things together. Um, that second piece on the empower was very important for us. What we've seen in our discussions with partners was that there is no partners want and engage with different engagement motions with us. And we wanted to be able to support the engagement motion that best fit their business. And no longer, right, do partners fall into very clean buckets like I am a reseller or I am an SI. They have engagement motions with us. Sometimes they offer services with our tech that are built upon our technology. Sometimes they resell our technology. Sometimes they sell side by side with our technology. Sometimes they wrap services around it. We really wanted to step back and create a programmatic structure that would allow for various modules that align to how the partner wants to engage with us in order to leverage Red Hat technology with their customer set. And partners can engage in multiple modules, but in each module, it gathers what I call activities that align to that engagement motion with us, and it will have benefits or sort of benefits associated with those activities. But if I want to engage in that engagement motion with Red Hat, I now have a clear module I can sign up for. It has a list of activities. I know that if I do those activities, I get this benefit from Red Hat, and each one of those activities accrues points, right? And as I accrue points across that module, aggregated with any other modules I work in, that sets my tier within the partner program with Red Hat. So what that means is I can engage in a what we call sell with motion. We have a sell with module. So I may not be transacting in that opportunity, but I may be actively supporting the customer's choice to use and expand their use of Red Hat technology. I can do the activities associated with that and accrue points. In a different opportunity, I may be reselling the technology and I can accrue points there as well. So we launched in July with 3 modules, one for distribution, one for reselling, and one for sell with. That was important to us because sometimes, because of how things are measured, programs can over-rotate into an area of resell and transaction. For the reasons you stated earlier, right? Because we do sell services, we're a subscription company, and we really need for a platform to be successful for the customer to use it. So those partners who are coming in with services or ISV applications that run really well and are influencing those customer decisions, we wanted to find a way to reward that and make sure that we have visibility and are supporting those partners. So as we head into next year, we have this framework where we can add new modules to support different engagement motions. But as a partner, I can choose how I participate. I can accrue benefits across all of them. And then I can show up as a global, right, within the global program as a partner based upon those tiers.
So it's really interesting, and I think this is something that a lot of IT vendors, whether they're hardware vendors or software vendors or even services, it doesn't really matter. They're always encountering this issue of there is no such thing as a homogeneous partner. That the
Yeah.
labels are, from my perspective at least, the labels are fairly meaningless, and
Yeah.
yet you still have partners that do even with this more heterogeneous type of business models that they have, they do tend to act in these different swim lanes simultaneously. And so, how do you maintain that alignment with them? How do you make sure that they have a seamless experience with you, and that and resulting in getting to those benefits you just described, that they can actually have some clarity and a reasonable expectation of success?
So we have tried to, so as an example, we have partners who will resell our technology, will wrap services around, so in a sell with motion. They also distribute our technology, and they offer OEM engagements. They have OEM. So in the old world, right, you'd say, well, how do you classify them, right? Where do they sit? We have tried one piece we have really focused on is to make sure we centralize the relationship aspect. So we do try and centralize the relationship aspect into one team that can holistically see and support the business with that partner so that they don't have to interact across various people here at Red Hat, right? So that was important to us. We have one team that would align to that partner. Underneath that then, right, in those 4 motions, they could align themselves to the various 4 modules. We can reward them. I do find that in those engagement motions, if I engage as an OEM, I have different requirements. I may need to make sure that I can support level 1 calls, right, for support reasons. We want to make sure that we are catering to the engagement motion for what that partner would want to make sure that they're successful in that engagement motion. We also want to provide benefits that further enhance that specific engagement motion. But to your point, the partner themselves is choosing which engagement motions they want. We then, as they aggregate their points, we can treat them as a holistic partner in the tiering model with benefits in the tiering model. So we've tried to kind of separate out the engagement motions into the modules, Larry, as you say, but still treat the partner holistically in their tiering and in how we manage the relationship with them.
One of the things that often comes up is differentiation. So, partners, again, they want to have status within programs because they want to be able to stand out. They want to be able to demonstrate value to their customers. How is this program? How is your new program helping them do that? What is it that, that you're doing to help them be successful out in the market itself? Because one of the things that also we've noted with ecosystems is that they really do, partners do have to stand out because they have to market into the ecosystem as much as market outside of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one aspect we have done is we kind of have this core-based program. We've also introduced what we call accelerators. So if there are areas where we really want to lean in the market with the partner in order to develop a certain capability, as an example, we've created what we call accelerators. Currently, we have one called Partner Practice Accelerator. And I want to talk through this a little bit because I think it aligns to what you're stating. We really saw a need to help partners grow their capabilities and be able to market themselves as differentiated in those capabilities, both to our field sales team, but also to the market at large. Two areas we wanted to lean in with were value-add resellers and regional SIs who want to focus on the commercial space, which we can talk about segmentation in a minute, but in our commercial space where we really lean in and we want to ensure that we are pulling partners in, that we have a customer first, partner always mindset here at Red Hat, that we wanted to have a select set of partners that could stand up and say they can select, do they want to lean in with application development, right, with our application platform called OpenShift, or do they want to lean into automation with our Ansible automation platform, right, from our portfolio? And we said, how can we help you develop your skills, develop your training? There will be criteria that you have to meet around certifications because there is a credibility aspect to being part of this program. But then we can support you with, you are now a Partner Practice Accelerator partner in Ansible automation platform. We can then work with you to align you to the right opportunities with our field sellers. You've demonstrated that you've leaned in. We're supporting you with opportunities that we are passing to you, and you have a badge that you can put next to it, right, and stand up and say that that you have met this criteria. I view the program kind of as this holistic, how do we support the partners in the engagement motions they want? We have now these accelerators where we create sort of this package where we can help partners stand up, state that they have met this criteria. We really push it with our internal sellers as well, so they know that this partner has done it. And then that helps them in the program accelerate how they create points and achieve those benefits as well.
I think that one of the things partners are looking for from companies like Red Hat is more direction. So now that we've had our fourth reference to AI, at least that's why my count's at right now. There's even though everybody talks about it, there's still a lack of clarity about, well, what are we supposed to do with this? And this is where the partners are looking for guidance. And I'm very curious to hear, what is it that they're asking of Red Hat in terms of, well, where do we go with this? What do we do with AI? Not just AI, but other technologies. I mean, Red Hat is also instrumental in building, hybrid and private clouds, and it's instrumental in building custom applications and workloads. So what is it that partners are actually asking for?
I think it comes back to what you started with, which is how do we provide a experienced point of view on how do we come together to bring customer value. So when we look across the board, it's what are use cases and wins that we have done and repeatable kind of things that I can show up to a customer that is going to say, very clearly talks to the customer value. So that's one piece of it. I'd say the second piece of it is, again, coming back to the fact that we're a platform, we view ourselves as a catalyst, right, for pulling together the various ecosystem partners. So many times, if we have a reseller as an example, they're asking us to say, okay, which partners have you proven you can deliver this solution with, right? And how does that come together? One thing that we have done is, so I'd say it's how do you get to really the heart of the matter of demonstrating customer value with Red Hat, but not just with Red Hat, with the surrounding partners that I will need in order to deliver that value. I'm I'm really excited about we have what we call the Red Hat Solutions Catalog. It is not a marketplace. It doesn't transact, but it is our place to showcase solutions that we have done with partners. So if a partner certifies onto or does an operator, an OpenShift operator, as an example, comes together with us with a solution that delivers customer value, there's criteria to be met, but then we can then list that in this solutions catalog. You can sort it by topic, right? Because we do engage in a lot of open hybrid cloud, migrations and standardization types of opportunities around the platform. But any customer, any reseller that can go into this catalog and pull out by category, this is a solution that is proven, it works. It will list, is it a validated pattern? I can get the recipe for then how to go use that validated pattern with my customer. We're working to enhance that with any public references. You can then pull the public reference from it. I think in this time of fast IT and fast return on investment, every customer is trying to do more with less. It's how do we come together as an ecosystem to deliver confidence, right? And in places like that, in that solutions catalog, I feel like that's a place where we are trying to build the confidence to say, we have worked with this ISV. This was deployed on this public cloud. Here's a recipe that shows that it works. And we hope customers and reselling partners and value add resellers and SIs can use that to their benefit, right? To try and take that out.
There's two things you said in there that I want to drill in on. Let's first go to what you said about here's how that solution came together and how we know it works. And so, conventional terms, that sounds like a reference architecture.
Mhm.
So there's a recipe. Here's what was done before. You can follow this. You can modify it. In conversations that we've had at Channelnomics with companies, with vendors, we talk about reference architectures, and many of them kind of recoil from the idea. Not that they don't see the benefit that comes from it, but it's really hard to pull those together and maintain them and then transmit them. What did you do differently to make that work?
So I think it's a great point. I think we do have what we call validated patterns that we maintain and keep updated with the partners. Not everything is a validated pattern because to your point, those ones are specifically selected for they will be reused and reused and reused. I think in addition to that, there is a credibility aspect where, while I'd say it's like a snapshot reference architecture, right? It worked here. Taking that and translating that into a customer will have to be tailored for that customer. But it is a confidence proof point to say, this worked, right? There's not going to be that full recipe, but it will say Red Hat has a long-standing relationship with this partner, this ISV partner. We have certified together. We've made it work for a customer. This is the outcome of the value to that customer. That's our intention. Our hope is that starts to bring confidence. But to your point, it's not a direct recipe that perhaps will drop into another customer, but it is a starting point. And there it can be tailored for the specific unique case of that customer.
Another thing that the partners, we've talked with about this is that they look at it and they say, yeah, we want to participate in an ecosystem engagement. We want to be able to work with good companies, but identifying them is hard for them, and they do look for validation from vendors like Red Hat. But validation, again, is something that's also very tricky and very hard to say, okay, this is the right ISV, this is the right application, here's the right reseller to work with. What is Red Hat doing to provide that level of validation to the partners so that they get to the right ecosystem partner first and best?
One of the things we look to is we want to be able to provide partners visibility to say, this is the space that we're opening up for you. We want to be supporting you and encouraging you and kind of opening up that door for you in this space. And we now have a set of commercial focused partners that we lean in with there. And then we look to these like partner practice accelerator partners who have taken even another leap into their deep skills of services. So we have worked from a kind of reseller services space in that way, focused on the commercial segment. I'd say in the technology segment, right, we certainly have certifications. I think the market is evolving around certifications because it's so fast moving, but we certainly work with our partners to certify in that space. And then we leverage that solutions catalog so that partners, because our hope is that partners see that as an opportunity to flag, like, I did this. I get to highlight that. People who are coming in to look at Red Hat technology can see that and say, yep, this ISV worked. So we're trying to provide that public market facing view in the solutions catalog. And internally, we're also doing, in particular, the commercial focus partners, the PPA and the PPA partners, in order to be able to push that focus and visibility into our field sales teams as well.
So, Stephanie, I want to just think about this in terms of evolution because you announced the program, you're doing updates to it. How is this going to evolve? Where do you take all of this next?
I think one of the things we were very focused on when we built the program was it is built to be able to evolve. That's why we made it modular in the first place, and we made points in the structure. So we will continue to evolve to add modules based upon engagement motions that partners want to work with us. That is certainly true. I think that kind of sits in that base program piece. We've created the accelerator capability so as various critical things come in into the market, we can create accelerators and be able to really work closely with those partners to make sure that we're developing their skills. Overall, I think, as you said earlier, ecosystem partnering is constantly evolving. It will evolve with new partners. It will evolve with new technologies. One of the things I love about being here at Red Hat Ecosystem is we get to cover that whole expanse from the partners we build with to the partners that we go to market with. I think being able to evolve that, we needed to be prepared to be able to adapt and move. I'm excited to see what's going to come forward, right? As technologies continue to advance, as motions like routes to market, like cloud route to market, and all of the changes that are happening, as an example, in the hyperscalers and their programs, we need to be able to support that, embrace it, and help, for example, reseller partners use our opportunities on marketplace. It's become so dynamic and interdependent, but we built the program. I think, in all fairness, I'm not sure anyone can say how this market or how partnering will evolve. I think what we've tried to do our best within this program is build the program to be able to evolve in a way that we'll be able to adapt to it.
So here's the good news for you, because I know that you and the Red Hat team spent a fair amount of time thinking this through and in building it out. And it's a challenge, to say the least. And the
Yeah.
good news is that you're not alone in that. What advice would you give to your peers that are looking at the same issues of how to tap into the ecosystems, how to build that collaborative motion, how to enable the partners for success? What advice do you give them on building a more productive ecosystem?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I think it's very important in the ecosystem that's so dynamic with so many, it kind of comes back to where I started. It's important to bring together subject matter experts and respect the value that they bring to the table. It starts with knowing what you want to bring to the table. We at Red Hat, we're an open source platform company. That's what we do, right? We feel very strongly that that is our role. And as we work with ecosystem partners, we're working to try and best combine that with the value they bring to the table, whether that is because they have an application, whether or not that's because they're a cloud provider or they have a SaaS offering. I think as we move forward in this dynamic space that we talked about, where there is no clear partner motion, be really clear. We spent a lot of time thinking about this. Be really clear of the value that you bring to the ecosystem, and really lean in to understand the value that the other ecosystem members want to bring to that industry. It's not until you get clarity of where those two things come together that you can start to bring in the clarity of then how do you work together? How do you create a program that is a win-win for both sides? And that's partly coming back to the module piece. We try and do that module by module now in the engagement experience to make sure that it really is a win-win for both sides.
Stefanie, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you,
Yeah,
Stefanie Chiras, the Senior Vice President of Partner Ecosystem Success at Red Hat. You've been wonderful.
so nice to talk with you, Larry. Thank you.
Well, that's about all the time we have for this edition of Changing Channels. Again, I want to thank our guest, Stefanie Chiras, the Senior Vice President of Partner Ecosystem Success at Red Hat, for joining us today. And as always, I want to thank all of you for joining us here on Changing Channels. We do this to help educate and help share knowledge and experiences across the business for everybody. If you like what we're doing here, please hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends about us, and also check out our other podcasts, In the Margins, as well as The Network Effect. And always, always please check out what we're doing at channelnomics.com. We have a ton of research and content out there to help you make better channels and ecosystems. Until next time, I'm Larry Walsh.